Hey, how you doing, everybody? My name is Eric Hinton. New to the MFA program, like many of you that are going to be watching this video. I'd like to welcome everybody. I'm looking forward to being in this class and continuing my MFA. I chose the certificate that has to do with the the online writing teacher experience, and so that goes into my plans on hopefully after I complete my MFA to go and teach at my local community college. So I live in Texas, so that would be Tarrant County Community College, and I would hopefully like to teach dual credit and teach creative writing to interested high school students that are interested in furthering their knowledge of the creative writing process and a lot of things that go with that process. A lot of people usually ask me why I want to go and teach dual credit. Well, I know when I was in high school, there weren't really creative writing classes. You could take other classes like technical writing or things of that nature, but there wasn't really one that ever really focused on creative writing. And so I like to write short stories and other longer pieces such as novels. And I thought that if students were really interested in that, they should have an outlet prior to going to actual, let's say, the university to experience creative writing and see if they have an interest for it. I know that from my peers' perspective, everybody here is obviously interested in creative writing. Otherwise, you wouldn't be a part of the MFA program, or you would have chosen to go maybe to another major for your master's. As far as the aspect of new ideas to help my peers and help them to go beyond in the program, I think that each and every one of us in the MFA program, and I'm speaking in general terms, maybe some people don't feel as strongly about this, that you have to have a genuine interest and love for the art of storytelling to even remotely want to go forward in a graduate level program geared towards, in the end, writing a novel or writing either a completed novel or a larger portion of a novel. Me, I believe that as a writer, it is my responsibility to not really per se bring original ideas, because as we all know, most times there aren't any 100% original ideas. But if you can write a story and your audience reads your story and feel like they got a fresh new look at an older concept, you've actually done your job, and you've done your job well. Or if they've read your story and they feel like they are invested in your characters, that you're not just reading it, hey, it's one shot, these are the characters, this is their story, and it ends. But if your reader is flipping the page and they want to know more about, you know, James is, XYZ character, why should your reader care about James? Because James is, you know, the average guy going through a struggle, and people can relate to that, and then they feel like, hey, they're either rooting for him, or in some cases they may want James to die. There's nothing wrong with that, but if you can invoke an emotion in your reader versus them just reading words on a page, you are making progress. You're making their literary universe become reality in their mind, if that makes any sense. Any suggestions I could give to my peers in achieving their goals is just really, honestly, it sounds crazy and it sounds cliche, just don't stop writing. What it boils down to is, when you're writing, you're going to hit those roadblocks. You're going to have times where you think a story could go A, B, C, and then you're writing it and you get stuck at B, and you don't feel that the story will ever get to C. If you just write, you can always go back and edit and edit and edit as many times as you need to till you get to where it's at a comfortable margin. And I had to come to that reality myself. that you're never going to be satisfied. You're never going to be satisfied with how you've written a story, and from chapter to chapter, where's it going, you get to the end of it, and you're always going to go back and be like, hey, I want to add this, I want to add that, these characters should have this conversation, this event should happen before that event, this character should die before this character, so on and so forth. But you have to come to a comfortable, realistic medium to be like, hey, I did this. This is where it is. This is where it needs to stay. My audience is happy. I have to figure out, can I be satisfied knowing that I gave it my best shot and that the readers will like where I left the story. Like I said, it's something I'm working on too, so I'm giving this suggestion because I've worked on one of my novels, and we're going to put literally one of many, and I worked on it for the better part of about 6 years. And I'm still at that point where I'm like, hey, I got all these ideas. I want this character to meet that character. I want this character to die before this character, so on and so forth. And I had to stop myself after I got a lot of feedback from friends, prior instructors, a couple of writing groups I'm a part of, and they had to let me know, like, hey, you have all these story ideas. That's great. And there's nothing wrong with it, but you have to come to where do you want book one to start and book one to end. And you can't fill it with everything of everything. You have to figure out where you want it to end. And I had to come to that reality. And so, that's just a suggestion, is just to dig deep within yourself and look at your stories that you have, or a story or stories that you have, and literally plot down, or I wouldn't say plot down, to outline where you want the story to go, how many characters, and how you want the events to play out. I'm bad at outlines. I just start writing. I honestly don't believe in outlines. Outlines to me seem like they limit your creativity because you're trying to fit everything in a nice, neat arrangement. And you may think of the end of the story, the last 3 or 4 chapters, before you even think of how this story could even start. Or you think about starting it, and you've started it, and you get 5-10 chapters in, and then you're thinking, wait, I don't really know how this story is supposed to end. So at that point in time, like I say, just dig deep within yourself and address all the possible issues you may have with a story. Either it be, should I even start it? Because a lot of us have dreams, and we're like, hey, that'll make a good novel. That's awesome. Write it down. And if you want to go with that to be a novel, actually plot it out. Hey, was this just a one-hitter quitter dream, or could this actually be something? And that's all I got. All right.